Hello, everyone. We'll give it a few more minutes before we get started. I'm going to share notes. Hold on just a second. I'll get to that screen. Can everybody see my screen? Just a verbal yes if you
Yeah, I
can.
can see it. Looks like you got one of those fancy wide screens.
I do. Unfortunately, I will zoom in if it's getting. Yeah, they give you a monitor, so you.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
We can actually so my agenda item, which is second, we can talk about last because it's gonna be basically like a status update. All right, so I see we have a couple of folks. I will tell everybody that we do have a code of conduct, and I will paste that code of conduct in the chat to abide by the CNCF's policy around peopling. So um, yes, Anders is here. So he wants to talk about reuse existing installations to satisfy dependency. Okay, yeah, go for
Oh, should I start doing that? Cool.
it.
Yeah, I wasn't. I thought it was an hour ago when I looked up the time difference between CET and Eastern Time, but no worries. I'm here now. I'll put a camera on my phone though. Yeah, so we're using Porter to manage large scale installations at customers, and I work for Microsoft, by the way. Very large scale, like thousands of probably 100,000 installations and stuff like that. But we thought we had an easy way of handling shared dependencies because that's all we sort of need. And it's not that easy with the current implementation of Porter. So I was looking at your specification for advanced dependencies. So there's actually one of the scenarios that we really, really would like. And then I thought about if there's a way I could sort of reuse an existing installation, meaning I install app one that has a shared install package or bundle one that has a shared bundle. When I install that, the dependency automatically, of course, installs the shared bundle. But if I install bundle B or 2 or whatever we call it, that reference the same shared bundle, I can't really get it to work. What Porter does by default is reinstall the shared bundle, even though I sort of tweak it and give it the same name, and it actually does a force install, not just an install. And it seems to be something to do. I haven't looked at the code yet because I'm not a very good Go playing developer. It seems to be something with labels because it does attach labels. I was just looking at a way to sort of solve that problem now and not when advanced dependencies are implemented.
That's a very good question, honestly, because I would love to see that functionality exist, and I think so let me repeat back what you said because I want to make sure I understand what you're asking. So you have bundle A, and say bundle A has like MySQL or something like that, right? And then bundle B also has MySQL, but instead of installing MySQL again, you want to be able to use the same MySQL that was already installed in a different bundle. Got you. Yeah, I like that. It's unfortunate that that's not how like, I like that design and maybe we can implement that, but to try to circumvent that currently, I don't think that's possible because of how bundles are packaged as an installation unit. So what I propose is that there may be a way with, and I have to look this up as well because this is an interesting problem. I'm glad you brought this up because I didn't realize that this was something that you were facing as far as like the communities probably also will look asking for this as well. So sharing bundle depths. Okay. So I know how to do this like at a cluster level, right? Like you just wouldn't install that part of the bundle. You would just point the thing to that bundle, right? But as far as doing this locally, like within your own Docker set, I'm trying to think of the best way we can do this. Because again, I'm not the Porter expert. I'm here to provide the community meeting, but I will take notes to try to start this discussion because I think it's important, and I do want to look at the PEP. So, but again, not trying to use the PEP as the solving tool. Let's figure out how to work this out, right? There may be a way to instrument it to where you have this bundle that's already set, and then like the next bundle that you're installing can see that that's already installed, and then look at that to kind of use what's already there to then not reinstall this stuff, right? But and to reconcile the difference of A and B to use the same thing, B would have to know that A already installed that. So that's the difficulty with saying, should I reinstall this because this is already there? And if it is installed, should I use that because this belongs to a different installation?
Exactly. Yeah.
So no, this is really, really good. And I do want to bring this as probably maybe even place it in the discussions at GitHub because I think we can get some more effort around the community around this issue because I'm pretty sure you're not the only one facing this situation.
I don't think so either. And
right.
There's multiple ways to sort of implement it, right? Because I was
Mhm.
also thinking the lines of let's have a weak dependency kind of things. Like I would like this instead of Porter automatically deploying whatever dependency you have there, it'll require the dependency to already be there. So instead of so I don't know, Porter install or Porter apply -- weak or whatever we can figure out here. And if the dependencies were not met, it would just reject installing it, right? So we don't have this automatic want that. In this scenario, it would actually help me because then we sort of it would actually solve my problem. So the alternative we're looking at right now is not using dependency at all, and using custom metadata and build our own dependency system, and then around Porter solve this dependency problem. But that's kind of annoying because there are some really nice features in Porter. First of all, versioning, finding the right the dependency, and mapping parameters, output parameters from one bundle to another. And as soon as we go in that direction we're looking at right now, we lose all that features. So the only feature we get out of the only feature, we can install a bundle and uninstall and then get a state store. That's the kind of, and hence there's a lot of work for us.
Yeah, I think even using a flag in an instance that you described could be something that we could probably do quickly. I don't know if that's the implementation we design going forward with advanced dependencies, but at the same time, I think this could, if you say like Porter install whatever weak dependencies or weak or whatever we decide, whatever nomenclature we decide to use, we can get around the steps where you can circumvent some of the things that you're dealing with and maybe place a feature along the side where we can actually implement the solution, not only to fit this use case, but others in general, because I feel like this is gonna, once you introduce this change is gonna be available for everybody to use, and then they might find some other things that they would like to see come along with it. So I do want to bring this back to like the other people, but I'm trying to write notes as well, and I'm doing all this at the same time. But no, I do appreciate your discussion around this, and unfortunately, I don't have a solution for you today. But I do think that -- week could probably get us in the right direction to then try to engage with how you're dealing with this problem. Because again, I have to look at the PEP to see what they're planning on doing with advanced dependencies and how that's going to be implemented to a way that this might solve this problem in a more abstract way, right? But I think we can handle the --weak situation. Do you have an issue for this in GitHub?
No, I haven't. It's just something I came up with. I can't remember if it's yesterday or this morning. It's late here in Denmark. So yeah, I was just suggesting that. Yeah.
You know, if you don't mind, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write an issue against Porter so we can actually have this like somewhere. And then, you know, I don't have to like mention you, but I will like explain like, hey, this is what the issue is, and describe the problem. And so once I write the issue, I can you know, we can together as a team try to figure out the best way we can handle this. And it might be with the flag until we like come to the advanced dependency PEP that was written or it's being written.
Yeah, so, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I want to make sure. So is the scenario you deployed a bundle and now you're deploying a second bundle, and that bundle has like the same type of deployment, or you just want to be able to hook into an existing bundle deployment?
So there are, I guess there's two sides of the same issue I want to solve. So I want to be able to reuse the same bundle, meaning shared bundle between two, let's say, parent bundles, right? That's the advanced dependencies, and one way of actually getting there would be able to have this weak dependency. If it's not already installed, the system will complain, because how do you handle that? I installed bundle, I don't know, web server, and it requires a SQL server, but I have another backend web server that talks to the same SQL server, for instance. How do you handle that? The second bundle, figuring out that the shared dependency is already installed, and that's why I'm trying to solve, right? And sometimes I don't want the default behavior of Porter, like just installing, because there can be a lot of issues with that. Suddenly, there might be version issues. Like one writes, I want version MySQL 11, the other one MySQL 12. What am I supposed to do in that scenario? So there are quite a few issues or challenges that need to be solved at the same time.
Yeah. And
just complaining would be sufficient in most cases, right? And then you manually need to reconcile. Do you want to use MySQL 11 or 12? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, you make a good point. Surfacing like the metadata of the actual version of an app that's deployed as well. That could be used in that logic too. Okay.
Yeah, because even like even if it's something where we have to like, because this is not just that issue, right? Like if there's like, hey, I want to install this on a cluster, but I don't want this to reinstall something in this namespace all over again, right? You want to be able to, so there's probably going to have to be some like mixin situation there where we have to do where we exec, or we use like, say for instance, a Kubernetes mixin to see if that's actually installed. So that the initial check installation situation would have to be with the weak dependencies.
Yeah, I've not like scoured the schema, but when you deploy a bundle, like, is there like a unique key or identifier of that particular bundle in the database?
I think there's a name. There's not a unique key. There's a name. That's what the Porter dependencies also rely on.
So it's based on just a string name.
Yeah, because so Porter has to get Porter name and a Porter namespace deal, if you will.
Okay.
Which is not to be confused with Kubernetes name and Kubernetes namespace.
Right.
So,
yeah, but I guess going on what Anders is saying, like, because you could have a situation where it's like, okay, I have database version 1 deployed, and I need database version 2, or vice versa. You know, I think you need to actually go into like that level of detail. But we could take it offline. I think this is good to actually add to the whole PEP.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks a lot
you.
for listening.
Oh, no, absolutely.
No, thanks for coming. And yeah, this is good info for us to know.
All right, so mine, like I said, I was gonna go last because mine is just basically an update with the status
Yeah.
installations and stuff. So like, you can go ahead, Phil. Did you want to share? I can stop.
No, I didn't have anything to share. I mean, I just want to kind of like start the conversation around. I know, you know, we got an epic around, you know, basically like redoing the docs and, you know, making sure like we got like operator persona, developer persona, etc. But I think the one thing I want to bring up is like what I've seen in some other projects is that, and I think I've talked about this maybe a couple of meetings ago, but we just very high level. But I want to get everyone's kind of feel on, should we just move docs to its own repo for us to just rev it in its own repo and outside of like the you know the code repo, so to speak, right? I think there's some advantages to do that. One, you know, whenever you're pushing PRs, you know, whatever kind of workflows are tied to that, tests don't have to run, et cetera. It's just purely like a doc site. And then as we kind of grow this project out and you know, maybe we have like doc maintainers, et cetera, they don't have to again worry about a lot of the code base of the project itself. They're just strictly working on like a repo that's just hosting documentation. So maybe we could put that out as a question and get the consensus on that and see if that's something people want to move to. I know there's like there's pros and cons with that. I know some people say, hey, we like to version the docs with version of the project, but I think there's ways that we can get around with that, where you can have a doc site that holds multiple like versions of the documentation, like through a drop down, etc. So, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of put that out there and just get kind of how people feel about that, because I think if we're okay to do that, then we can actually in parallel start building kind of like whatever the docs v2 site is going to be and have it kind of in its own separate repo anyway, that we can keep iterating over.
I like the idea. I know big projects like Kubernetes does it.
Right.
Helm may do it, and I think it
yeah, most projects have like a web repo or something.
It disassociates a lot of what's being performed in there, and you know, and then you can even write hooks at any time you make a release that the docs get built in. Then you know, so like I personally would feel it's necessary to split them out, because then you can have a dedicated thing where you're not like touching code to try to read the docs or something like that, right? And then like you can actually like scaffold it out to and not ruin anything with what the code is looking at, and have it instrumented in a way where it's complete, more so less. Not to say that anything is wrong with our docs now, but I think having its own dedicated silo is a little bit easier to reason around.
Yeah, having it like air gapped, I think it works a lot better, even for like, again, if we're going to kind of grow like just document maintainers, like just to be able to pull like a doc site down is pretty nice to do. I have to pull all the builds down from the normal project. Okay, yeah, it's only us, so maybe what we can do is we'll post this out on the Slack channel and see if we can get a consensus. And again, it's something that we can probably just do in parallel as we kind of figure out what the next V2 versions of the docs are going to be anyway.
Yeah, and like I said, I personally agree, because I think the reason why people are doing it their own dedicated way, because they face issues and challenges trying to bundle them together with the software. And you know, if you know that you're doing a release and you have hooks to actually make the docs like point at that release, then you always have a place where you have this long process where if I make a release, I'm doing these separate things, right? So I think that, to me, I don't see any. I don't think you're going to get any pushback. Maybe if and I'm not certain why the decision was made to put the docs together, but I'm pretty sure taking it out wouldn't be an issue.
I'm sure. Yeah, it was just bootstrapped that way. And but yeah. Okay, yeah, let's see if we get a consensus, and then that can be kind of like a forcing function for the like the V2 docs and that whole epic. We can
Okay.
go from there.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to write this note down, so I'm gonna write the notes after the Zoom, because for some reason when I do the notes while I'm zooming, it's like lagging so fast behind. I don't know, maybe it's my laptop. But
Hey, you know what? I could throw another quick subject out there while because that just spawned another thing.
yeah,
I know again, and again, I'm not trying to retool everything. So I know we're using like the what's called HackMD site. I do know like the majority of projects are just using like Google Docs. You know, um, I don't know if it's enough for us to transport that stuff over to Google Docs and kind of just be a little more in line with like maybe 90% of the other projects.
I
But
know
it's
that
something to think about.
yeah, I know that we actually had a Google Doc for doing something we were looking at recently, and I think it helped the community know that they can uh, have, if you leave it open. I don't know people familiar with HackMD or not. I don't have a preference personally, I think, but just accept this issue that I'm facing right now, and it could be because my laptop is what it is.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
as far as like championing another tooling that will make the community happy and get us to a point where we can share this easier than what we're doing, but then by all means, I'm not opposed to that being a thing. Um, I think, like I said,
Yeah. Yeah,
if
we
the,
could
the
put it
easier
out
it is
for
for people to right, the easier it is for people to see things and more visible and things and interact with stuff, I think is the goal. So whatever that means, because I think we
yeah.
were talking about calendar invites and how that's going to work, and then we were using like I think a tool for calendar invites, and I think that was I don't know if people's experience with that was great, or if they don't know that it's here. I know what Kubernetes does, and I'm just using Kubernetes as an example because they're another CNCF project. They actually have like hey, we have a Google Calendar invite.
Yeah, they use
Right?
the Google. Yeah, they use the Google Calendar. They use the Google Groups
Yep.
and
So like it
stuff.
comes up on my phone every week, right? I don't know
Yeah,
who
yeah,
it, but it's
yeah.
surfaced enough for me to be able to see it, and I think that's the point, right? So as far as like we want to be able to engage with the community, and if they, I think, do we have a mailing list? I don't know. If we do, I don't know if I'm on it or not. If we, so those are some of the things I think we can like discuss, like mailing lists, Google groups, if we want to do that, right? So that people can, if they're not in the Slack channel, like publicize the Slack channel. It's just the only,
Right. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I think. I mean, my opinion would be like I would say like the effort is probably worth it to
mhm,
move it over just because you're gonna get just a ton of integrations instead of like piecemealing, like one solution to do this, one solution to do that. You kind of like you said earlier, you kind of put in a more familiar like
mhm.
environment for most like open source projects. So yeah, again, there's nothing wrong with the way we have notes, but I just think we can probably streamline it if we move it over. And then again, like I said, I think I don't know, probably 90% of like open source projects are using like Google like apps to do a lot of this stuff. So
Mhm.
um yeah, we can put that up for a vote too, get some consensus on the Slack channel and see how people
Okay.
feel about it.
Yeah, because I know that doing CNCF stuff, there's like some things we have to do, and there's some things that we need to do, and I don't know all of those things at this point, but
Yeah.
so we can figure out what those two things are, and then
Yeah,
adjust the
yeah, that's
tooling
fine.
as needed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I will
Yeah. So we have
yeah,
about like what 30. Like I said, mine is like really quick. It's not even really like 30 minutes long at least, because it's just an update from where I was at the last time. And if anybody has anything else they want to discuss before I go into that, please feel free. I know Ludwig has been doing a lot of work um, trying to get Windows working well with Porter, so I definitely appreciate that. I see some couple issues and been trying to help in that regard as well. Um, we are trying to like streamline the operator so we can actually like make that V1.0, and then once that's V1.0, we can champion the operator use for other cases that people have been having. I think the installation outputs was one of the things on the Epic that needs to be done. So yeah, so before I go into that, does anybody have anything else?
I just have a question about the docs. So I know there's like
Yes.
a doc Epic, right?
Yeah.
Is there like some date we want to have the docs done?
No, so when I got kind of close to the project, I think just like you, like I was struggling kind of like navigating the docs and stuff. And
Yeah.
I did know like we kind of retooled like the table of contents, but it was just an epic we put out there. We probably need to kind of like create like a enhancement proposal and kind of like define it. But yeah, there's not been a strong date. We just kind of just putting feelers out there and making sure like we're hearing everybody. I do know like one of the biggest thing is like really having like the operator persona really like elevated in there. So for like the people who are like the practitioners who are just going to be using the tool, and then having more of a development section, like if you're looking to like develop against it or write mix-ins and plugins, etc.
Yeah.
Because right now it's there's a lot of content in there, and
you cannot find anything. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the operator that just wants to get in and get out, like you go look at like Terraform tools or Bicep tools or something like that. Like it's just really like just to the point. Like, hey, you want to do this? You want to do that? Like, here's the example. So, but yeah, no. So to get back to your point, no, we've not put a date. I actually want to start putting subtraction around this. So if you want to be involved, yeah, let's start spending a couple of hours a week on this, and then let's just define out like all the work items under the epic, and then get some agreement, and then hopefully from there we can start to project like a time when we think we can finish it.
Okay.
Yeah,
sounds good.
But yeah, thanks for asking.
So about the Windows things, I've gotten some help from Mark Rossetti. I had a meeting with him and Sarah, and it seems so apparently you can have Docker running using Windows containers or Linux containers, right? In like WSL. So I think we can only support running Docker with the Linux containers for now, at least, because we realized that getting to work with Windows containers would be a lot of work. Because I don't remember the exact reasons, but I think a lot of our tools that make sense rely on some kind of bash, I think, underneath. So yeah, just want to give an update on that. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for answering my question.
All right, so I'm going to share the PR just a second. And if anybody's familiar with what I've said before, please don't let me say it all over again. But where's the share button? Record reaction apps. Okay, share screen. All right, share. All right, so I have this working product. Can everybody see my screen? And if it's too blurry, I can zoom it in. All right, so this PR used to be big. It's still big, but it used to be bigger. Like I split it up so we can actually do all this stuff that's strike through. So we added the printer columns. So we actually have the installation output resource. And what that does is just gives you an output of some things to say like, hey, I have this installation. I want to see the outputs of it, whether it be parameter sets, credential sets, whatever. Right. So the issue that we're having is that the service that we need to interact with this doesn't come bundled with the porter operator. So the next step would be to like make a Helm chart so that you can just like bundle that and then say, hey, I want to throw this at my cluster, right? That would be one way to install it. Then we'll update Porter so you can use Porter to install the Porter operator on a cluster, right? As a install bundle, use the Helm mixin or something to that degree. Other than that, you'll find that what's left to be done here, let me see. I don't know if you all can see my Teams chat, but what's left to be done here is, add the port installation to the operator to launch the service when the operator installs. So basically the gRPC service. I can't add any integration testing until that happens. And, I want to make sure, so I need a bundle that's going to actually update. So when the bundle updates, I can actually see the new installation outputs. I have demonstrated that when you delete that installation output, it'll re-trigger and then create a new one so that you'll never lose it in a sense. And then I'm waiting on the bundle upgrade to test the logic. So Sarah and Brian are supposed to be helping out. No, Sarah and Steven, excuse me, are supposed to be helping me out with that because I don't have a ready-made bundle to do all this stuff. But some of the code changes that are necessary to clean up the to-dos. A lot of this is just like generated code for like creating the stuff. But here's the installation controller. And I'll put the link in the chat so like you all don't have to like watch me. Yeah, you all have to watch me like go through all this themselves because it's not. Where is the chat? I am so bad at Zoom. Okay, I'll paste it in the chat when I stop sharing. But yeah, a lot of it is just we need to do this, and we build the controller to fix the stuff around the things that are necessary to get the outputs. So basically, you'll fetch the outputs if they exist. You make them. If they don't, you won't. I'm going to clean up all the to-dos and make the integration test once I have the opportunity to do that. As far as infrastructure is concerned, I will. Let me stop sharing so I can put this in the chat, and then and again, if this is boring, I apologize. It's just how it is.
Nothing's ever boring. Come on.
Right. So let me see. Going to see if I can see where Argo demo. Just checking to see before I start sharing because okay. So recently with the change to my okay. Recently there was a change to my PR that actually would include the names of the Porter installation outputs in the wide. Okay, so does everybody see my terminal? It should say Porter Argo demo main.
Yep, I see it.
Okay, so if you look at the installation outputs, if you look at the wide, you'll see like this is the namespace, the name, the actual name of the Porter name, and here are the output names, right? So if you were to do this same situation, but do that, you'll see that these are the names that come from that output. So when David reviewed the PR, he was saying that that's probably a good idea. So when you do it wide, people can see the output names, and that can be distributed to people to see that in a sense where it makes sense for them to do that. So like I said, if I get this, oh sorry, if I get this, let's delete that. Then demo and its name is test install. It deletes it, but if I get it again, it will still be there because it recreates itself. So those outputs will always be static. If you look at the logs, I'll just find it to do something. But yeah, so any questions on like what else is necessary? I don't want to bore you all with what I'm trying to still accomplish with the things that still need to get done.
Maybe I wasn't following it. What was the reason of having the outputs show up in the OI display?
Yeah, so you don't have to like recurse yourself down into the OYAML. So like if you have more than one installation outputs, you can see the names of the outputs rather than like look through all of them with OYAML to then see, is this the installation I'm looking for with the outputs? And then, it's, and being that it's not everything, right? It's just the names. You don't have to like, if they're sensitive, you don't have to like expose that or anything to that degree. It's more just a surface of just to expose the names of the outputs was something that I think if you don't do it OY, you won't see them. But if you do it OY, you'll see them. But I think it's it's helpful for people who want to be able to just see the names of the outputs instead of, you know, going into the list and seeing them themselves. So
Got it. Okay. No, that makes sense.
yeah, so like I said, I just have some other changes to do. So this PR hopefully will not grow as much as it needs to over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks, but it will just be like the Helm chart. And then there is a Porter ops thing that we do to install the operator. And I think what we'll do is hopefully change that image. So when we do install Porter ops, it'll come bundled with this thing to then be able to throw this at the cluster, and then there'll be an easier use case. Because I think when talking to Sarah, I was saying I don't want us to feel like you have to install Porter to then install Porter operator, right? Right. There should be a way that you can install the Porter operator without ever having to touch Porter because you understand the use case. So I went with Helm because most people install deployments and operative stuff with Helm, right? And Helm, you can actually package it in a way where you can throw it at the cluster, and it's all of those things exist and they're there, right? So so that's kind of where my effort is now to do the Helm situation, and then make it a part of the Porter ops. So if people have Porter, they can install Porter operator on their operator. So like if they have it in their pipeline and they're already using Porter, they can actually just use this as an avenue to install the tooling there. So getting some stuff fixed with like the deploy. I think that go run mage deploy is having some issues. I think it's because we were using like an older kind version. So I have like a branch to try to fix that, because I think that will help with how we're currently doing it with some of the things that we've been facing. But I think I ran into some errors and was trying to get some troubleshooting from the community if they've ever faced them or not. I think Luke experienced the same situation. I got a little further, and that was because I moved it from the mage file to something different. But
Yeah,
that's kind of where my effort's been focused on a little bit. So if anything, oh, Alan came. Cool. I was just about to ask because I know he was doing some work on what's he doing? He was doing some work on. I'm looking for it now. Oh, okay. On I think there's a GitHub Actions PR, and then I think Sarah said she was going to make a bot so we can actually have the Porter bot do the GitHub Actions. We're trying to migrate away from Azure pipelines, and there's I think a PR that Alan already has around trying to fix that, because I think I think he's already made a PR for the stale bot situation, and we just have to like make a bot and give it some credentials so it can do the stuff that his bot can do. Ali, you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Sarah's unfortunately not be able to be here today, but I think she was asking to see there is some broken GitHub Actions. I think she was asking to see if you can help out with, or I think she's going to try to make the Stalebot so your PR can get merged in to then do the Stalebot stuff.
Okay.
But I'm trying to see the PR she's talking about. So like that's kind of why I look distracted, because I'm also looking around to see if I see exactly what she's referring to.
Okay. Is there a link? Was it like in Slack? I can check.
Let me see, because I know it was on Git Porter/Porter, right? And there was some broken GitHub Actions I think she was talking about. Yeah, so I think it might have been this issue, but then somebody else said that they were working on it. But I'm looking through the work now that you've been doing. Okay. And seeing what she said about it, because I know that okay, so this was 3 days ago when you said that you're back working on this, right?
Sorry?
No, this is I'm looking at your PR now, and I think you said you got sidetracked a bit, but you're working on this, right? The Stalebot
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, it's actually because I tested it and it's actually working.
Okay.
I just needed I don't know if there's a way to do any more tests on it. So
Yeah, so I think what Sarah was trying to do, and I have to ask her when I get a chance to talk with her, is that she wants to merge it in, but then we have to make the bot so the thing can do what so the thing can do the thing, right? So
yeah.
like she has to like make so she has to like make that happen first. So we might be
Yeah.
waiting on that. And if anything, I can try to get with her on the side and see if there's anything else that needs to be done. Because like I said, like you said, there's nothing else really that you can test to make this any more functional than what it's already doing.
Yeah.
As far as like
Yeah, actually
yeah.
I think now I get so she just needs to so in the get portal org, she just needs to create like an account of like a new GitHub account and then set up like a personal token for it.
Mhm.
And then in the portal repo, she needs to add it as a secret, right? So yeah, and then after that, it will appear as if that account is on. Like every time the bot like comments, it will appear as if that account is on, writing the messages. So yeah, I think that's all she has to do, and then yeah, I think that's it. It's pretty much done.
Okay.
Also, I don't know if this was the best approach like to do for the bot. But I basically just composed like one from actions. So I don't know if they needed like one that is like an actual server and listening for webhooks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't know how far we wanted to go with it because we had some feedback in the channel about Stalebots and how people feel about them. So I wanted to see like what we can start doing, and then if we need to like iterate or make it a little bit more easier to reason around, we can adjust because we have all these integrations that we're trying to do with GitHub and moving away from actual pipelines and then using the Stalebot. I think it's a bigger effort than than we may realize because because we're trying to port all those things back to GitHub Actions. But
Yeah.
again, we'll get the post in the community if it's getting out of hand because I want at least what I would like to see is engagement around the issue resolution. Because if you
Yeah.
say like, hey, there's a bug, and then like we start working on it, fix it, and then we say that it's fixed, we want you to verify that what we did is the result that you wanted to see. Because or
Yeah.
else we and I've seen how other projects handle it. You know, some are huge, so they don't really they just if you don't respond back in 15, 30 days because we fixed it and you know or something,
Yeah.
they kind of just leave it at their own discretion to close the issue. But more
Okay.
of a diplomatic approach. But yeah, I guess like I said, I'll get with Sarah on the side to see if she can create the thing and maybe respond on the pull
Okay.
request itself. But is there anything else that you need from me or from the team or from?
Yeah. No, I just want to ask about the operator and like
Okay.
like how far. Well, I haven't been working on it because I was just like trying to wrap. So I've been trying to wrap like my head around it. I think I've finally like understood like most of the code in it. So, but yeah, I don't know how far like whether because she said you guys were prioritizing it and stuff.
Yeah, so right now I'm working on, I put the PR in the chat window. It's PR 245, and that's like the installation outputs. And there's some like other dependencies that I'm waiting to finish fixing before I can call that a good PR to submit. That's kind of why it's still work in progress. But we made a new CR, made this CRD for it, and then actually have like a working demo per se. But we want to make sure that this works with like all bundles. So it's not just a specific use case that I made. But as far as like we have some issues there, and I think there's an epic. Let me see if I can find it. There's an epic for the operator V1. Let me see, I don't know where it is though. So if there's an epic for the operator V1, I kind of wish this would like, yeah, I kind of wish this would tell you like, hey, this is part of this whatchamacallit. Okay, so here's the epic operator V1 tracker, and then I'm going to share this in the channel. So let me see. These are all the things we want to get done to call the operator V1. One of them is the stuff I'm working on, which is the exposed bundles outputs inside a cluster. It's checked off, but it's like still one thing to do. I think Sarah is working on deleting the temporary resources, which is 54. And
is there one I could pick up and like?
Yeah, so I don't think anybody's working on this. I think it's this issue here. Hold on just a second. Let me see if anybody's working on it. No, nobody's working on this. And we
Which
were
one?
having this. Yeah, I'm about to paste it. I'm saying this like you can see what I'm doing, but you can't. Sorry. So nobody's working on this issue, and I'll share the screen to like show it to everybody. Share. It's basically how to upgrade the porter operator from within K8s. So can everybody see my screen now?
I can see it.
Yeah. So right now, we kind of deploy the operator with either Porter itself, and we're kind of trying to change that dynamic. So like if you see what he's saying, after running Porter, install Porter ops, whatever options you give it, it kind of gets into its own namespace and whatever. This is not only a operator thing, but it's also a Porter CLI thing, right? Because if this command is only at a separate version, we have to make that more configurable, so it will do that. And then there may be a install or upgrade Porter ops command that's going to allow us to upgrade that operator in place, which would just be like changing the container version, whatever. So if we're running like Porter operator version 1, and then we want to upgrade it to version 1.1, it would basically just do like a rolling update inside the cluster, and all the states should stay the same because you're not really changing nothing except the Porter operator manager. So so I think this is like a twofer, right? It's like how do we make this more configurable? So this is kind of, I know it's an upgrade. I mean, I know it's an operator, but we probably want to do this in the CLI itself, right? Because Porter ops, I got to look at that again. But so it's probably that, and how do we do it in the operator? Because if we have a command where we can upgrade the operator within itself, it'll be able to just replace the container that's in there that's running. But yeah, so I can assign it to you.
Yeah, you can assign it to me, and I see what like how to approach it. Yeah.
Where is
I think I can type Alan. Let's see.
Okay, so I don't see.
What?
Oh, maybe because you never committed to this repo, and
yeah.
So
wait,
wait,
let me comment on it, and then
if you comment on it, then you can
okay, just give me a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Issue what? Issue
32. Issue 32.
Okay. Somehow, okay, see. All right. So I just made a comment. I think just below, if you could.
Yep. Okay, so now I can assign it. Yeah, boom. All right, so you are assigned to this.
All right, thanks.
No problem. And that should get us to, like I said, it's more of a Porter CLI issue as well, because like you have to be able to use that command to upgrade it. So like if we say
Yeah.
Porter upgrade, Porter, whatever, you know, however we do the upgrading in that situation for the Porter, we have to make sure that it gets to the next version or the next iteration or whatever you call out to see if it'll upgrade.
All right.
So yeah, so some meeting notes that I'm gonna write down is the issue that Anders brought up, the doc stuff that Phil brought up, the output stuff that I brought up, the stale bot that I think we still need to fix with that we need Sarah to do so you can merge a PR and then assign you this issue number 32. Okay,
Yep.
so I also have to make an issue from what Andrew said. So if there's anything else, we have a couple more minutes left.
I don't know. I just wanted to say like this project has really like grown from like the first time I was here. Like,
Yeah, I agree. I think the first time I was on this call, it was just me and Sarah, and then and then it was like me, Sarah, Ralph, and Phil, and then like it started to get more people, more visibility around, you know. So I do enjoy how this is progressing, and thank the community around it. So I'm enjoying it.
yeah.
Yeah, we're growing.
Or it's a more pleasant experience than other projects I've developed with. So I do appreciate how this is organically growing into a space where it's comfortable for people to contribute and not only, you know, find themselves getting better at using Porter, but more so better at like developing, contributing with it. So thank you. All right, if nothing else, yeah, if nothing else, I think we can conclude today's meeting.
All right. See you.
Also,
Thanks, everyone.
so next meeting is 2 weeks, right?
The next meeting is in 2 weeks, unless
So it's gonna be
unless we decide to move it or something.
Right.
but
yeah. So yeah, next meeting. So that should be September 7th, and
September 7th.
if it's bi-weekly, right?
Yeah, so let me see. I'm just looking at the calendar now because so September 7th.
Okay.
And that should, yeah, I think that should be good. September 7th. Like there's a holiday on Monday, but I think we'll be out of that to make the meeting. So
That's right. Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll create the next session in the notes. And if anyone has any items they want to talk about, start posting them once we get that, and then we'll remind people in the Slack channels to do so as well.
all right.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
All
Yeah,
right.
have a good one.
Thanks.
Take it easy.
Okay.